everyone in Virginia, this is Rachel Hauk, and I'm so glad to do this book club video for you guys and with you guys. I had originally done this video earlier this morning, but I did it for the wedding chapel instead of the wedding dress, and Stephanie kindly told me, no, Rachel, we read the wedding dress. So yay, thank you guys for reading the wedding dress, but if you want to know anything about the wedding chapel, you got a video on that too. So you get a 2-for-1. Anyway, the wedding dress, first of all, thank you guys for reading it. I hope that you love the story. I hope that God spoke to you through this story. It was a story of my heart. I love the story. It took so many twists and turns that I didn't anticipate in the beginning. The way the story came about is very interesting. It started on Twitter. I think you guys probably read that in the back of the book. Some professional women at Thomas Nelson Publishing and another author we were all talking on Twitter, and it just got to be, hey, if you want to get together, let me know. If you come to Nashville, let me know. And so we said, let's do it. You know how you say, hey, let's get together, and you never do? Well, we said, let's do it. So I got together with these women in Nashville, and we were sitting around one evening talking, and we were talking about our host woman, Tammy, her daughter's wedding, and how when she put on the dress, you just knew it. This was the dress. And I was lost in story world. All of a sudden I started imagining putting on a wedding dress, putting on your grandmother's wedding dress. What happens if four women wear a 100-year-old wedding dress? I just started thinking about this 100-year-old wedding dress and who would wear it and why would they wear it and how did it move about, and I was gone in story world. Meanwhile, the other three are off talking about business, and I finally said, hey guys, like what if there was this wedding dress that was 100 years old and 4 women wore it? And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we're publishing professionals, and one of them was another author, but it was like, whoo, right past them. And then I thought, well, maybe it's just a stupid idea, and it's probably been done. And listen, I got on Amazon, and I typed in the wedding dress, and I'm telling you guys, there was nothing there. I mean, either nothing had been put up yet. The movie, The Wedding Dress from Hallmark, wasn't out. Nothing. And this is June 2010. Or God just blocked my eyes so that I would write this book. So I was set to write another book. I called my publisher, my editor, when I got home. And I said, this is the book I want to write. And I pitched it to her. I was standing in Walmart while my husband was buying a TV. And she said, oh, I got chills. Let's do it. Let's do it. So I had the good fortune of going down to Vero Beach and brainstorming this story with the great and lovely Debbie Macomber and another woman named Karen Young. And we sat around all weekend and we brainstormed 3 stories, and I got to bring the wedding dress. And so some of the detail were ideas that they had. I think the trunk was an idea that they had. But all along I kind of knew that I didn't want the dress to go from aunt or mother to daughter to granddaughter or aunt to niece, or I didn't want it to have a clean line. I wanted it to kind of move wherever God wanted it to move, but yet I didn't really know how I was going to do that. I did not know that the dress would be a symbol for the gospel until the very end, or actually in the middle when I was planning it. And I wrote a long synopsis for a movie company that ultimately turned it down, sadly, but it really made me know what the story was about. The other interesting fact was the Purple Man. Who is he? And I left it kind of vague for you to be able to decide who you want him to be, an angel or the Lord himself. To me, he's Jesus. He's that representation of Jesus in our lives, even when we don't recognize it, even when we don't know. And how our past with our families, his presence is in their lives as well. This story has 2 timelines, as you know, called a slip time story, slip time, or dual timeline. And what really fascinated me about that, and I first read Slip Time with Susan Meisner's book, Shape of Mercy. If you guys haven't read that, you should. It's fabulous. And I thought, this is really amazing, because how many of us would love to be able to go back in time and see what our ancestors were doing, and hear how they lived, and feel what they felt, and hear their thoughts about life. And I think we look at the past through the lens of the present, and we don't always understand the culture that we're looking at. So I tried to do that a little bit with Emily And I just wanted to see how Emily's life actually impacted her great-granddaughter, Charlotte, even though they didn't know each other, and Charlotte didn't even know she had a great-grandmother. Of course, that part I developed just to keep some tension and some mystery in the story. And so in the middle, I just decided the dress has to move on its own by the hand of God, and it's not going to go from Emily to her daughter or to her niece. It's going to go to another woman entirely, and that's when I invented Mary Grace and Hillary. So that's kind of the inspiration for the story, just a divine moment with the Lord at someone's house in the fellowship of other women and believers. I feel like there's room in this book for God to speak to you as you read. One of the things that I love about writing a book or reading a book is that you can enter into the story. It's probably the one entertainment aspect where the one hearing or listening or watching or reading actually can enter into the story. You can envision things how you want. God can speak to you through the lines, things that I didn't even imagine. I had a woman from Poland write me about this book, and she said after she had been a Christian and she had read the Gospels, but she didn't think the Gospels had anything for her anymore. She'd read them and kind of was like, well, I'm done. But as she read The Wedding Dress, God began to speak to her, and she realized that there was more for her, that the Lord had more for her. And when she finished the book, she just sat and prayed for a long time. You know, what would it take for me as a missionary, whom I love missionaries, but that's the power of story. That's the power of just going straight past all the crud and all of the hurt and getting straight to the heart. And the Lord used that story to speak to that woman, but as a missionary, it would have taken me years to reach her. And we still need our missionaries, boots on the ground, absolutely. But this is another way we partner with heaven for the kingdom to come on earth through the power of story. So here I am in my chair. This is my office. Woo! Here you go. I got windows on the other side. I'm on a second floor, and so all I see is trees. So I feel like I'm in a tree house. But anyway, the stories and books are another way for God to reach the lost, but largely to reach other believers. And I heard from a girl in Brazil who read the book, and she wrote to me and said, oh, I didn't know these kinds of Christian romances existed. I'm so excited. I can't wait to tell my friends, and tonight I'm going to pray for you. And I got that email when I was having a particularly hard day. I had a physical issue a couple of years ago, and I had a book due, and I was just plowing through, and when I got that email, you guys, I just burst into tears. Like, okay, God, what I do for your kingdom, sitting in this chair, in this office, it matters. And you are touching people's lives with the stories that you're giving me to tell, especially The Wedding Dress. So anyway, I'm going a little bit longer than I wanted to because I know that it can be kind of boring. If you have questions, please email me at rachelhouck.com. No, don't email me there. Email me at rachelhouck@gmail.com. Put in the Gmail. And I would love to hear from you, and I would love to answer your questions if you have any questions. I know that some people are kind of iffy about the Purple Man, but he's just that picture of God breaking into earth. And you know, God breaks into earth and into our lives all the time. We just don't always recognize it. So it's a little bit of looking beyond the veil, as they say, and seeing how God might be impacting our lives, our past, present, and future. So anyway, thank you guys so much for reading the book. What a blessing to know that you have, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Thank you to Stephanie for getting in contact with me about sending you this video, and I hope that you guys have a really great night. Thanks so much.